Okay, so let's dive right into a story that's powerful, it's anonymous, and it comes straight from a university student. It's a story that starts with what looks like a perfect campus friendship, but trust me, it ends up as a huge warning for anyone navigating that world.
I mean, that quote, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? Now, the names in the story are changed, but the experience is incredibly real. And I bet for some of you listening, this might feel uncomfortably familiar. It's a look at just how easily trust can be twisted and how friendship can become a weapon. So, let's paint the picture. At the center of everything are two students, and their connection, at least at first, it seemed like the ideal campus friendship. You know, the kind of bond everyone really hopes to find when they're starting out. So on one side, you've got Wambui. She's a hopeful second tier, maybe a little naive, and her folks make sure her upkeep money comes in right on time. And then you have Njeri. She's a fourth-year law student, super flashy, seems to know everybody and everything. But here's the secret. She's completely broke. Two totally different people sharing one room.
And, at first, the dynamic was awesome. Njeri totally took Wambui under her wing, showing her the ropes, the best spots to eat, which parties were worth it, even which lectures you could totally skip. She was playing that perfect role of the mentor, the cool big sister, and for a while it really felt genuine.
So how does a perfect sisterhood like that start to go so wrong? Well, it all started the second money got involved. That's when the whole dynamic just began to shift. It started small. All of a sudden, Njeri's money problems were the only thing she ever talked about. Her student loan was late, her parents were having a tough time. It was this constant, draining narrative of how expensive everything was. A really carefully built story of being desperate for cash. And then, after all that buildup, came the ask. Njeri saw that Wambui was doing okay financially, and she started asking for help. And Wambui, she's just thinking, hey, this is squad love, right? This is what friends do for each other. So she starts sharing her upkeep money, with no idea she was taking the first step down a really dangerous exploitative path.
But these little favors were just the beginning. It wasn't about a few loans between friends. Oh no. This quickly spiraled into something way more calculated and so much more damaging. This is really where the story takes a dark turn.
You see, Njeri's solution to her money problems wasn't getting a part-time job. It was to introduce Wambui to this hidden transactional world. She started pitching this idea of meeting connections, or as they're known, sponsors. Older, wealthy men who'll give you money and gifts for your company.
And you can just hear how she sold it, right? The pitch was so alluring. Njeri painted this picture of a glamorous life totally free from money worries. They could go to fancy restaurants, buy new outfits, live like absolute queens. And all Wambui had to do was be charming. It wasn't presented as a transaction, it was a smart way to get by. But Wambui was just torn. I mean, this goes against everything she believed in, her upbringing, her values. Deep down, she knew it felt wrong. But the pressure from Njeri, her big sister, her mentor, was just immense. It was a war inside her own head. And this right here, is a masterclass in manipulation. When Wambui tried to voice her fears, Njeri immediately weaponized her seniority. She called her concerns childish, claiming this is just how campus works and everyone does it. She used her status to gaslight Wambui into thinking her own gut feeling was wrong.
And you can just see on this timeline how methodical the whole thing was. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It started with a small compromise, sharing her own money. That led to the introductions. Then came the pressure for dates, which slowly but surely turned into overnights. And finally, the endgame, Njeri demanding a cut of the money, twisting that idea of friendship by saying, we share everything, right? This slide just shows the devastating cost so perfectly. On the surface, everything looked great. They had a lavish room, new gadgets, trendy clothes. But underneath all that, Wambui was completely falling apart. Her grades were tanking, her anxiety was through the roof, and she was just being eaten alive by this secret, horrible shame.
And of course, a situation like this can't last forever. Something had to give. And it all came crashing down in a single moment. One event that just shattered the entire toxic illusion and forced Wambui to face the horrifying reality of what was happening.
It was a health scare, an STI scare, and it sent Wambui into a spiral of pure terror. Just imagine it, finding yourself completely alone, panicking, sitting in a cold, sterile clinic waiting room as the weight of everything you've been doing just crushes you.
In her absolute moment of crisis, when she needed her big sister more than ever, Wambui called Njeri for help. And Njeri didn't answer.
not once. In that deafening silence, the true, hollow, and ugly nature of their friendship was laid bare. Wambui was completely and utterly abandoned.
But you know what they say about hitting rock bottom? Sometimes it's the only place you can start to climb back up. From that horrible moment came clarity. That crisis was the painful wake-up call Wambui needed to take her life back and learn some powerful, lasting lessons. And just look at where their paths went from there. After her parents stepped in, Wambui refocused. She found real friends, a real support system, and she's on track to graduate strong. And Jerry? Well, she was left all alone, her manipulative games leaving her stuck repeating classes, trapped in a mess of her own making.
So what can we all take away from this? First off, seniority does not equal superiority. Just because someone's older or seems more experienced, that does not mean they have your best interests at heart. True friends, your real squad, they build you up, they don't use you. It is so important to set boundaries, early and often. And please, remember this, your worth is not a transaction. It cannot be bought or sold. And finally, find your people, the ones you can genuinely, truly trust, and talk to them.
And that's really the question I want to leave you with. As you navigate your own life, whether it's on campus or somewhere else, take a really hard look at your circle. Who are you trusting to show you the ropes? Just make sure they're leading you somewhere you actually want to go, and not into a trap.